All right, let's see if we can do this as quickly as possible. Go back to the questions. Yeah. Okay. So are there any liens, right-of-ways, easements, covenants, any other deeds, restrictions, or encroachments on their property? All that is handled by the title company, and the title company does their job after you go under contract, which is out of order in these questions, because what additional upfront costs associated with purchasing? So let's start back from the beginning. First thing you got to do is put this thing under contract, get it off the market, get it under your name so nobody else buys it. Because by the time probably you get this video, it's already off the market. It's already got another offer on it. I already texted you that. But the name of the game is get it under contract, get it off the market, and then do your due diligence, which means you figure out everything you need to know to be happy with continuing the purchase. Contracts are built with this clause called due diligence clause, and it's during the inspection period, which is right after you go under contract. And that whole due diligence means you figure out what you want to know, and if you're not happy with what you figure out, you back out and you walk away. But you can't do all that stuff if you don't have the thing under contract. Does that make sense? So let's just say you were going to buy this piece of property. The process starts with making an offer. They either accept it, reject it, or counter. If they counter, we got to talk about it, see if you want to accept it, reject it, or counter, et cetera, et cetera. In that offer are several things. Your offer price, your earnest money. Earnest money is typically 1% of the offer price. The earnest money is due within 5 business days of going under contract. So what is today, Thursday? If you put an offer in today and they accepted it tomorrow on Friday, then 5 business days, meaning the following Friday, you would need to give a check for 1% of the total cost to the title company, who's going to do all the paperwork for you. They're going to cash that check and put it in an escrow account. You've probably heard of escrow. So they're going to put it into an escrow account, and it's going to sit there throughout this transaction. And if you stay in all the way to the end, it gets applied to the total at the end. It's not an extra fee. It comes out of the total, and you pay the rest. So you've made an offer amount, an earnest payment, and then an inspection is going to be had, which is either you inspecting the property or you hiring somebody to inspect the property. In some cases, it's $400 if you're inspecting a house, for example. An inspector goes out, does their due diligence, inspecting everything, writes a report with pictures, gives it to you. You have that. You and I go over that. If there's anything on it you don't like, if it's something we can have the seller address, we do. If you're happy with it, we sign that we're happy with it, turn it and move on. Then after the inspection process, if you're using a loan, there's an appraisal process, because the bank that you're getting the loan from will send out an appraiser to check out the place and make sure it's worth the amount they're giving you on the loan. Because if it's not worth the loan, they're not going to give you the money. So if it comes back under value, then you got to go back to the seller and say, hey, we offered X amount. Appraiser said it's worth 5,000 less than that. You either got to lower your price, or we got to meet in the middle, or I got to bring 5,000 more dollars in my pocket to the table because the loan's not going to cover it. That's the appraisal process. And the appraiser may call out things that have to get fixed, just like an inspector does. In fact, the appraisal process is called an inspection, which is confusing. But we're following that timeline of making an offer and it becoming yours. So you put in the offer that has the offer amount, the earnest money amount, your inspection period, anything about the loan that you're getting if you're not paying cash, and then a closing date. And closing date means that's when you go to the title company, sign everything to become yours. The seller signs everything to give it to you. They take about 2 hours to do all the paperwork, put it all in your name, and then you are funded and recorded. That's the secret phrase from the title company, meaning it's now yours. So let's see if we can go back now. All that liens, right-of-ways, easements, covenants, deeds, restrictions, encroachments, all those things, that's what the title company does the research for during the due diligence process, which is during the first week or two of being under contract. So again, we go under contract tomorrow on Friday. First thing we do is we fire off an email to the title company that says, hey, this buyer wants to buy this piece of property from this seller. Title says, cool. And title starts doing their job, looking at all that stuff. They will end up sending a form out to all of us, not the seller side, just our side of the buyers, saying either it's all clear or they found these problems and they'll work on them. Okay, do the other plots that were purchased block the mountain views? I don't know how land would block mountain views. I mean, it's land. I don't really understand that question. But I did see, nope, I got 5 people texting me here. Okay. I sent them your list, the sellers, the selling agent. They're like, oh my, the 2 lots do not block mountain views. They're in a line running north and south, with lot 1 being the northernmost lot. 2 and 3 have an easement that is recorded to get to lot 1, but it has not been put in. So meaning there's no road there, but there is on a map. Mountains are on the west and east of the property. The survey is in the listing. I'll have to find that. Oh, I may have sent that to you. I don't know. If you don't have that, let me know. If you want the Google Earth image to get a better idea, send me your email and I can get that over. So I guess if you want that, let me know. Taxes, I already told you 24 cents on the land alone. The 2 lots to the south are buildable lots. There are no more splits allowed on that section without subdividing. That's a planning and zoning question. Don't ask me. These parcels have just been used for occasional grazing. Like I said, there's no CC&Rs and there's no HOA. I don't know if you know that, but if there are covenants and restrictions, but no HOA, that means there's nobody to enforce them. You have to have an HOA to enforce the CC&Rs. I hope this helps. A lot of the questions will be answered with a title commitment. Like I said, that's the title's job. And calling Cassia County, which I text you, the Cassia County Planning and Zoning Committee. And doing your due diligence, which is what I said. There is no well there. There is no septic there. So that's another thing you're going to ask about if you have it on here. When you buy a piece of land and you're under contract, part of your due diligence inspection process is going to put a septic system out. It's a complicated process, but it's 3-step process. You hire a bucket digger, somebody with a dozer, a bucket digger to go out there. You gotta scoop out 2 holes minimum, maybe 3, 4 by 4 by 4. Just dig the holes. You pay that guy $400, whatever he digs holes, he leaves. Then you got to call the South Central Public Health District, which is who comes out and surveys those holes. And what they do is they look at those holes and is there any water coming up in it, meaning a high water table? Did you hit lava rock, which means you're not going to be able to go very deep? They give a report on the situation of your holes. Then you got to take that report to a septic company like Sweets septic system. They install septic systems out here and give Sweets the report. And then they'll give you a quote and say, okay, well, your holes were okay. You can have a standard septic system, which is like $7,000. Or they'll go, oh crap, you have lava rock really shallow, which means you're going to have an advanced septic system, which could run up to like $30,000. That's all part of your cost for you to do. It doesn't cost anything for South Central. Well, actually, South Central Public Health District might charge like $150 to go out and inspect. Sweets doesn't charge anything to give you a quote. Bucket digger charges you whatever he charges to get out there and dig those holes for you. That's all on you and non-refundable. And then the well, I think the well companies will come out and do a research for free. So they can come out and do perk tests or something. I think that's what we already sent you a screenshot of. Not sure. But well companies will tell you how much a well will cost. No charge to give you a quote. Okay. Why are they selling the land? We don't ever ask that because either they're not going to tell you, or it really doesn't matter. They're not going to say because it's an Indian burial site and nobody wants to build houses, so we're selling it. You know what I mean? That's just kind of a voodoo question in this industry. Well, why are you selling it? They'll just say because we want to, because we want to make some money, because we don't need it, no longer use it, whatever. Taxes, we're told. What other construction is planned? Don't know. I don't know. They probably don't own all that land out there. So you'd have to ask everybody that owned all the land around there what the plans are. Already answered protective covenants, potable water we already talked about. Are any restrictions on the height, size of all that? Talk to county planning and zoning, permits, planning and zoning, planning and zoning, tree cutting, planning and zoning. Any other restrictions we should be aware of? The only restriction, since there's no CC&Rs, is whatever county says. how long after the inspection period closes do we have to pull together the funding as a group before the earnest money is gone? Well, so typical deals, let's see, land, I mean, land can go 60 days, let's say. Houses go 4 weeks. Land can go, it can go as long as you need it to, and as long as the seller will allow. Let's just say it that way. Typically, let's just say 4 weeks, because you should be able to get the Bucket Digger and South Central and Suites and everybody out there within 2 to 3 weeks, maybe 4 max. Now it's winter, so it's gonna be a little bit harder to dig, but let's just say 4 weeks to get all that inspection stuff done. That's written in the contract that you have 30 days for your due diligence period. If we get to day 28 and you haven't got all your stuff done, we can write an addendum to the seller saying we need another 30 days or whatever. And if they accept it, game on, we take another 30 days. If they say no, you guys are taking too long, just get lost. We'll find another buyer. Then you get your earnest money back because you're still within that 30 days that was on our contract. So about getting your money back, it's all about staying in those timelines that we set forth in the contract. Pulling the funding together means you got to have all your money together by the time you get to closing. Remember, closing's when you go to title and you sign everything. So on the initial contract, there is a closing date that we pick, and we typically go 4 to 5 weeks to start with, and most people get it done in that time frame. If you start to run into issues like if all the bucket diggers are booked up and you can't get anybody, and we start to see we're being delayed, then we put in these addendums to push it out another 2 weeks or a month or whatever's needed. But remember, it's all about the seller's convenience too. If we're inconveniencing the seller for too long, they may say, look, we'd rather just move on. We had other people offering on the property. You guys are taking too long. So that's how long after the inspection period you have. So you're covered with an addendum past your original inspection period clause if you need it. What are the additional upfront costs associated with purchasing upfront? That's it. I mean, so you're gonna pay an earnest, which is 1%, and then you're gonna pay whatever inspections you decide you need. Like there's a survey. Let's say you don't trust whatever survey they have and you want to know exactly how many acres and where the four corner pins are. You can hire a survey person, survey engineer, but that's your cost. You got to pay it $2,000-ish for a survey. So when it comes to the upfront cost, my cost, I don't get paid until the thing closes all the way at the end, and actually the day after that. And I get paid typically out of the seller's profits. So the fees that you pay up front are really whatever, other than that 1% earnest money, which you can get back if we stay in contract. Other than that, the only upfront costs are whatever you deem necessary to find out if you really want the property or not. So hopefully that's it. I got another text. The buyer of lot 2 and 3 are working on getting a shared road and maintenance agreed put together. So in other words, the one you're looking at is up here, and then you got 2 and 3. In order to get to yours, they had to put an easement on the side saying that you, as the buyer of 1, are allowed to travel across 2 and 3 to get there. It's not there yet, but it's on the map. So now she's saying that this is the listing agent. The buyers of those bottom 2 are working on a shared road and maintenance agreements. In other words, they want to put something in writing now that they're there before you. They can put this thing in writing that says, we're going to let you cross our land based on these requirements. Probably, you got to split the maintenance upkeep with us or whatever. And, you're not going to be bringing commercial vehicles down it or whatever that are wider than the road and damaging fence or whatever. Whatever they're putting in it, I don't know. It's not written yet. So let's fire this one off to you. This should give you enough knowledge to move forward if we find something else to offer on. I don't know the details of the offer they currently have, but my guess is it's probably a full price offer. So let me just get this to you. You digest it all. Tell me if you have any more questions, and we'll keep going. Where's the stop button? I don't even see. There I am. And here's my office. Look at that.